Welcome to IPL5 Daybreak.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Daybreak. This will no doubt be a fantastic matchup. It's already kicking off with DongRaeGu going for the infamous 10-pool opening. Oh yes, here we go. It's going to be good. So, let's introduce our players. To the northeast position in the red trunks, playing Zerg. His name is...
MVP DongRaeGu.
The Horn of Gondor has been sounded. As to whether or not it will help his Terran opponent, that's a good question. To the southwest position in the blue trunks, playing Terran, he is...
Startail Bomber.
Thank you everybody for joining us here this afternoon. It is just about this afternoon.
Yep.
But this build, we don't see it very often, especially against Terran here. But we'll see how this is going to work out. Of course, this build is usually put out there to punish very early command center first, but we already have a Marine on the way. But there are 6 Lings. The SCV is about to discover
what's going on. Oh, that's not an appropriate timing for Lings whatsoever. Oh, that's very, very rude. And what we're going to be seeing now is, seriously, is Bomber actually going to expand while his Lings are coming in? No, he's not. He's going to back off here. That would have been gutsy, to say the least, from our Startail player. But yeah, you're right. It's designed to punish early command center, and Bomber is a very macro-focused player. He plays, in this matchup, almost exclusively heavy macro barracks-focused play. And at this point, what he's done is created this really neat little wall off there, which you can actually, it's a pseudo bunker. It's not a real one. It's like he made it out of cardboard and everything he could find around the place. He is doing his best to deflect these Lings and make sure they don't get the surface area they need to do damage. And so far, he's doing it, because when 3 Marines comes out, 3 Marines versus 5 Lings, I would fancy the chances of Bomber, and that's it. Yeah. The aggression has ended into the main.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too much of a big investment from DongRaeGu. He's still at 15, 16 drones with 4 more on the way. With an early spawning pool, he also gets the option to get that early queen too, to get the lava injects a little bit faster. But it did force Bomber to keep the command center in the main base rather than on the low ground. So because of this little delaying that we're seeing, easily he just throws down a 3rd command center in retaliation, knowing that the follow-up aggression isn't really going to happen, as it's usually only going to be drones.
A little bit of follow-up aggression from the crowd there. It's okay, everything's fine. We'll just pedal a little bit faster. 2nd command center coming down, and yeah, this aggression is not really going to happen from DongRaeGu, because as you said, this 10-pool opening, you got this late gas coming in at 32 supply, and there's no speed. There's no sign of a Roach Warren, there's no sign of a Baneling Nest, because he hasn't got any gas.
Yeah, I mean, it really would be rare to see a Roach Warren come down to kind of punish or do anything here, because the map's too big. Yeah. It'll take way too long for the Roaches to get across there. So with that gas, the 2 options are usually going to be here for speed straight away, or that he goes up to lair, depending on how he wants to play this out. But it's pretty much, it should be for speed.
Yeah, you would certainly think so. It would be a little odd just to go straight to lair from here. But then again, it is DongRaeGu, who knows? Gas has now been taken here for the Terran player as well, so add-ons are starting to be created, looking to try and expand here. The favorite bunker position of every Terran player on this map, by the looks of it. If you are playing ladder and you expand on this map, then yeah, just have a look at that. That's where you go. That's where you want to be. Simply because it's so hard for the Zerg to get a good surface area in that bunker, it means that your trade is eventually going to be much, much better, which is why all the pros are doing it.
That's right, and it protects the mineral line and the ramp at the same time. Covers both areas, as these Lings do get pushed back rather easily. But we are going to see quite a aggressive Bomber in the mid stages of this game, despite the 3rd command center down. He has opted to go straight for 3 barracks here with Stim early on. He's got a lot of Marines popping out per cycle here. But obviously with Ling speed on its own, it should be good enough to ward away the majority of the aggression. One thing that DongRaeGu will have to focus on once he starts to scout out what is happening in this game is creep spread. Because creep spread, as mentioned earlier during this weekend, without Hellions and Banshees to deny it, then he can get the queens going out there and immediately spots the barracks, and also just to make sure he doesn't lose to any stim marine attacks, he gets the Bailey Nest as well, just to be safe.
Certainly. He didn't see the add-on, so he can't be 100% sure that stim is coming, but Bomber does like these fairly early game marine swell pushes without medivacs with stim. And honestly, like, from the games that I've seen from him, especially at Lone Star Clash 2, where we got to see an awful lot of this, it has a kind of middling success rate. Sometimes it does a ton of damage, and sometimes it gets absolutely crushed, and it also means that the factory is later, the tech's later, the medivacs are later because he's invested so much in it. So we'll see if DongRaeGu can actually repel this without taking too much damage.
Well, I'm pretty sure DongRaeGu is going to squat this very easily, as we're about to have the Marines make their way to the Zalnog Tower, and there are a lot of Lings on the way. If Bomber escapes with these Marines, this is really good for him. If he doesn't, then naturally it's going to be very, very bad. But we'll see if these Marines get home, because that's a lot of Lings that were made if they don't kill anything here.
Yeah, they're coming. Well, there's no combat shield either, and Stim would be risky, but that's a nice little lineup initially here for Bomber. He's able to get a good number of kills, but he has been surrounded at this point. Ling's not going to crush it, and they're able to do so. So that is that large pack of Marines done for, and a lot of resources lost there.
And that's, the Lings have basically made their worth in this game now.
Yeah.
That's what they were there for. They've done their job, and the game continues on, and Bomber loses a lot of those very early Marines. He's got really nothing left to defend, only a handful of units.
He's going to lose the bunker, there's no question about that. Here comes the surround, and the safety bunker is great, but once again, DongRaeGu grabs the bunker, nails down a little bit of defense, killed a few Marines, and then dips out with these units, and he doesn't really care. It's just a bunch of Lings. He's okay with that. They don't even have upgrades yet.
That was a super good catch there by DongRaeGu, and because of that, the 3 bunkers had to come down, no Marines are left, he really doesn't have a follow-up push with Stim now because of it, so DongRaeGu's in a good position in this game. Interested to see if he's going to go for his traditional trademark Spire. You know, he said in interviews before that he likes to focus on control, he likes to control not just his units, but the game as well, and there it is coming down, so he's going to be looking for a really good, aggressive mid-game finish it before he really needs to get up to the hive and so on. Yeah,
this is something we are seeing quite a bit more. It's odd that we hear a lot of Broodlord Infestor, Hive Tech, Broodlord Infestor all the time when it comes to this matchup, but actually in this tournament we're seeing a lot more of this mid to early late game lair aggression, whereby it's more the classic Muta Ling Baneling or Ling Infestor, and not actually going all the way up to Hive. And when Hive does occur, in this matchup, in this tournament, it is, for the most part, been for Ultralisks and not for Broodlords.
That's right, and right now they both expanded to the middle, so we are actually going to see quite an intensive mid-game here. What DongRaeGu probably want to do, realizing that his opponent is a little bit behind in terms of getting a lot of units out, is just get a lot of Lings, a lot of Banelings, Mutas to target down the tanks, and then just make a massive crush down assault into the middle just to wipe out the army and the expansion all at one time here.
Mutalisk count will begin quite shortly, and it's probably going to be about 6 by the looks of it. The gas count is not all that high. Bunker placed there just to delay the Lings from getting into it, so it did its job. It's not really too concerned about that. So yep, it's going to be 6 Mutalisks and the +1 flyer attack.
And just looking through Bomber's vision, he actually doesn't know about the Spire, he doesn't know about the +1 attack coming down, so he doesn't have any turrets back at home. So the way that I think DongRaeGu may approach this is just go send the Mutalisks into the main base originally, just to start it off, kill a few SCVs, pull his opponent's Marines left and right, force a couple of stims, and then start to build a big army, and then get everything together to crush through the middle. But if Bomber's going to walk across the map here with all these Banelings, with speed, with the amount of Lings and Mutalisks, I'm not too sure if this attack can work that well for Bomber.
No, it doesn't seem so. Bomber would need a really good position here, because what we've seen in this tournament is the idea that, oh, you've got siege tanks, great, I'm just going to overwhelm you with a lot of units. And that's exactly what DongRaeGu is doing, and he's also adding Mutalisks into the mix, which in the hands of DongRaeGu could be dangerous, as can the ability to ravage that mineral line. That was, of course, not a planetary fortress, and that means your mineral line is dead. Good game, good sir. But in the meantime, he's going to trade it for DongRaeGu's 4th base in the center. The question now is, do the armies meet, and who is able to come out on top?
The armies will definitely meet very shortly. It looks like the Terran army is pushing down to the 3rd base. There's a lot of Lings, a lot of Banelings coming down here. Tanks are sieged. DongRaeGu doesn't want to go yet. He wants to get all the Lings and Mutas together and then crush with one big army. If he does it, he's probably going to be cruising for the rest of the game.
Shot down right there by Bomber, and this may be very badly timed. We're going to see Lings coming in for also. Baneling hits are huge. They're massive, and down goes Bomber's army. DongRaeGu crushes at the 3rd base, and it was looking good for Bomber for a second, having targeted down those 6 speed Banelings, but then the sandwich came in from both sides. Bomber was not prepared for that, and he was completely overrun.
Yeah, and he hardly lost any. I mean, he did lose a couple of drones there, but he's already back to 80. He's got a third alive. He's got a fourth coming back down. And in the trade-off there, the Mulas killed the third command center, so Bomber's back on 2 bases. So that was perfectly executed. And now, as mentioned, with the lack of turrets, here come the Mulas. DongRaeGu is absolutely commanding this game.
Yeah, there's no real question about that. Mutalisks now running into a few Marines. DongRaeGu will easily get out of there without taking too much damage. As we know, the second follow-up push from DongRaeGu is very strong indeed. Oh, freebies, donation be given. Oh, saved by Bomber, nicely done. And DongRaeGu's Mutalisk pushed away, one torn from the sky there. And what we have now is this 4th base going up once again. And what does DongRaeGu do from here? Does he sit back? No, he doesn't. He's DongRaeGu. He's going in. There's no siege going on right here. The Banelings are about to connect. The split is good from Bomber, but is it good enough? It's really good from Bomber here. Can he bring down all the Banelings? Unfortunately not. He didn't have quite enough after that first push. And while that was an excellent defense, DongRaeGu runs it over regardless. Yeah,
DongRaeGu just with so many Link, Baneling, Muta available, great upgrades as well. And only on 2 bases, Bomber just can't build an army big enough.
Oh, and here he goes again, and these Lings are going to overwhelm that last tank. A couple of Banelings coming in right now. The Marines must back off at this stage, or they will be taken out. Fresh reinforcements coming in right now. Muta versus upgraded Marines. There are too many Mutas and too many Lings on the ground. GG! Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. And DongRaeGu taking that first game in commanding style.
Yeah, super easy win there for DongRaeGu. Just calculated what he needed to do, saw the army move out, realized it wasn't that big of an army, destroyed the third, then came back. He actually waypointed and had a lot of links, a lot of banelings on his natural, just bought his time until it was the right time to just destroy what Bomber had built up.
It's just such a fun matchup when you see classic Terran versus classic Zerg. We're talking Ling, Bling, Mutalisk. We do not endorse Microsoft's search engine here at IPL5, but we get this really awesome scenario where it's just constant aggression going back, forth. It's not a very passive game at all. And as we saw there, that worked out really, really well for DongRaeGu. Great control, excellent engagements, and Bomber wasn't able to handle it, which honestly is kind of unusual because in my experience, Bomber plays the best when he's playing against the classic Zerg style. His positioning is always really good. He's usually all over the map, but I feel after that first push was crushed so convincingly, he didn't really have a follow-up to that, and DongRaeGu was just allowed to hit 80 drones, get his 4th base, and do whatever he wanted.
Yeah, I mean, it always stings as a Terran player when you lose your entire army, but then on top of that, you lose your third. You can't recover what you've already lost. And Bomber, I think, needs to approach playing against DongRaeGu a little bit different to what we saw in that previous game. Against Ling, Baneling, Muta, there are specific timings where the gas count is really low for Zerg. So because they're spending on Banelings, upgrade, and Mutalisk, there is times when you can get in there before the Baneling count gets too high. That's why we saw a counterattack rather than a direct engagement originally from DongRaeGu. So Bomber has 2 ways to approach DongRaeGu. It's either he hits these crisp timings and doesn't, get hit by a counterattack, or B, just plays super defensive. Because if you think about the amount of gas invested in this style, Infestors really come late into the game. So as long as he has the tanks, the Marine upgrades, he will be able to continue through at a really good pace as long as he keeps up defense against the Mutalisk as well. So those are the 2 styles that I think Bomber's really having to think about to go into game number 2.
Certainly, and honestly, Bomber's really comfortable with that. He doesn't have a problem with it. He's played so many games. He's been around since essentially the start of StarCraft 2. He's been a consistent TVZ competitor against this kind of style, and he's done it very, very well. But I feel that that initial attempt by him was ill-advised. It didn't really go very far. I've said before, I've seen it, and his success rate with it is maybe 50-50, if that. And after that game, I'd say it's lower. So we need to see a little bit of a different Bomber, a more organized Bomber, a more timed-out Bomber going into this next game here against DongRaeGu. If it does not happen, then that'll be a 2-0 sweep, and one of the last standing Terrans will be out of this tournament.
That's right. Not too many non-Zergs left in this tournament at the moment. So, of course, Bomber fighting very hard to prevent that from happening. Very interested to see what the next map is. I have a feeling it may be Ohana. Of course, Bomber gets the map choice here, and yeah, it is going to be Ohana. So a smaller